It was spring, coming into Rock Creek Park in Washington, D.C. It was a bunch of old men, the grandfather type. They were sitting there playing bones. You know bones? That's what they call dominoes. That's when they use those white tile things where they would slam down hard. And they were telling stories about themselves when they were little. You see, this was Stanley and Terry and David and Larry, and they were the ones who grew up there in D.C. And they were telling stories of what it was like when they were young boys, thinking they're the best people in the world, because they knew that people from everywhere would come to Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, to see their home, to see the White House and the Capitol and the monument, and all those things would come. And they were so proud to say, this is our home. And they were known for doing all kinds of things. And if you could get close enough to hear them, you would hear Little Top talk about when he got in trouble in the 6th grade. Now, when he was in the 6th grade, Mr. J.T. Jackson was the only male teacher in the elementary school. And he had a unique way of dealing with some of the kids who weren't always cooperating. Now, Little Top, he was an outstanding student. He was outstanding in the hall when he should have been in the classroom. He was outstanding outside the principal's office because he had done something in the classroom he shouldn't have been done. Like this one. In their classroom, they had a TV. Now this is back way in ancient, like the 1960s time frame. They had a TV in their classroom because Mr. Jackson said, we're going to have math in the afternoon, right about the same time that the World Series was going to be on. You see, he would say we had to calculate the batting averages and all the statistics of those baseball players up there hitting. And that was for the afternoon. But in the morning, the TV was supposed to be off. Because there's a very important ritual. In the beginning of the day, they would always open school by standing up, facing the red, white, and blue, the stars and stripes, put their hands over their hearts and say, I pledge allegiance to the flag. That's the way you open up school. Now, Mr. Jackson was out of the class at this time. But he left Molly Ann to be in charge, to get things started. And she was leading the class like she's supposed to. But when Mr. Jackson came back into class, everybody was standing, saying the Pledge of Allegiance. But Little Top, he was back there doing jumping jacks. Because he had cut the TV on, and there was Jack LaLanne, this man who did exercise on TV, doing jumping jacks, so while everybody else is saying, I pledge allegiance, he's jumping jacks. Mr. Jackson said, all right, mister, you're in the immature group. Now, what the immature group was, that meant that little Mo and Eric and probably Bobby, that means anytime Mr. Jackson went out the classroom, they had to go with him. Now, what we didn't know was that Mr. Jackson would do on the immature, he would go and take the boys with him, go talk to the custodians. He'd go down to the hot, sweaty boiler room, and he'd take a smoke break. That's what the teacher did. He wasn't even playing the rules himself. And he called us immature. Called those boys immature. But that's the way it was back then, and you just couldn't say nothing about it. And so, they all laughed about that. And then when the laughter subsided, they started talking about Snake Hill. Snake Hill was this hill at Rock Creek Park. Now, see, most people don't realize that Washington, D.C. has these several gorgeous parks full of trees and grass and a creek running through it. Just wonderful. They think it's all the monuments, the Capitol, the monument, the Smithsonian. But there are parks where people go play and have picnics and all those things like that. And Snake Hill was right along 16th Street. It was this hill that went a quarter mile, no, not a half mile. I think it was about 3 miles down. It would start up and you go down in a circle and around and round and round. And we had guys had all kind of bikes. They had, some of them had the coaster bikes. Some of them had 5-speed. You really up there, you got a 5-speed. Some had those banana bikes, those kinds of bikes where handlebars come bend up, and the seat is big, long like a banana. Had all different types of bikes to ride together, and then all those boys would ride down the hill, take a race. And they get fancy about it. They would ride no hands. And they, you know how you lean like that, make the turns, go around, and around, and around the curves, and around the curves, and around the curves, and cross over each other. And all it takes is just one kid to make one mistake, cross somebody's name, got a big pile up that we had at the bottom of the hill. And now, you got 6 boys and their bikes tangled up among it, and you got skinned arms and knees. No broken bones. No broken bones. Then who comes up? The park ranger. But you know we smile. Those boys smile. You know why? Park ranger was Randy's dad. And Randy's dad knew those boys who were in Mr. Jackson's class, and he knew sometimes they just didn't do the right thing. He decided, you boys will do this for 3 Saturdays. You'll learn all about bicycle safety rules. You'll learn how to wear helmets. You'll learn how to stay in your lane, and how to use your hands and your brakes, especially when you're going down and round and round and round. So we all survived. We continue to be in D.C. telling all the tourists that they are capital city kids. Welcome to our home. This too is America.